Afternoon, everybody. It is Saturday. I don't know the date. All right, March 23rd. Welcome to Ben's Brick Design, where we go through designing of Star Wars ships, microfighters, building sets that we design, etc. If you were here last week, you will know that we were working on the Black Ace fighter from, and I'm going to flip back to make sure I'm streaming properly. And we were working on the Black Ace from Star Wars Resistance, and it was not the first set that came out from Lego in terms of their releases for 2019. But it was the most recent that just came out. It just hit the stores. The first one was the Von Reg TIE Interceptor. Let me make sure I'm actually streaming to this, because it looks like it's not. So let me double check. Give me 1 second. It may just be that this page hasn't refreshed, but I want to make sure I'm streaming to the right channel too. It may be the wrong channel, because I did this last week and I thought I put in the right key, but I didn't. Subscriptions. Yeah, all right, it's there. Fantastic. All right, sorry about the delay. Sometimes I get disappointed by technology. It lets me down because it's not instant the way I want to think about it. So back to this. This is where we left off last time, and I've discovered recently that this is actually sort of a cone back here, but I haven't finished it yet, so we can go back and finish that. But I did get this far. This is where I'd like to say that it's finished, and as you can see, I put the pylons on here for the engines and the I guess the air intakes and blasters and whatever. The set has again just come out, and it's got seating in here for Griff, and it's got a sort of a smooth cowl on top, and the front stabilizer wings are very long, and again it's supposed to have a face like a stormtrooper. Also, I've got, yay, thank you, Tucker. Thank you, What's the Hops. Let me know if you can hear the music. I think I got the OBS figured out, but I want to make sure. If you noticed last week too, we left this with one single hinge. I'm going to get rid of the floor. There's one hinge missing, or there's one clip and one bar, modified plate with a bar. And I tried to ramp that up a little bit for some stability. So now it's got two, and this is clipped on the bottom to give it a little more stability. These are not click hinges, so these are going to, oh, you don't hear music, that's fantastic. These are click hinges, so, oh, you know what, it's not, let's do this, settings, audio, this may not have saved. Yeah, I show you capture. All right. It was working last time. Let's do built-in microphone, which shouldn't be it, but it should be I show you capture. That should be default. I don't know. That's weird. Yeah, I legit had this working just a little while ago. Not studio mode. No, thank you. Let's see. I may have to reboot. I don't know if that works or not. Anyway, again, listening to Lukash. I really want you guys to be able to hear this at some point, but I just set this up yesterday, and I could see on here that it was working. I could see the auxiliary thing. Let me take a look at this real quick. We're going to do a study in, I hope I don't interrupt the stream by doing this, but yeah, multi-device. Let's try that. Let me know if you can now still hear it. Let's do, yeah, that should be better. And I think the music's a bit loud. So So let's turn that down a little. That's probably pretty good. That should be it now, right? Yay, music. All right, fantastic. All right, so back to this. We're just gonna leave this as is. Again, I'm going to probably replace this in the back because if you can see black ace Lego, you can see that this is, they've got the back of the box on this already. There's a good image of it. No, that's not a great image of it. But there's a big cone on the back here that is like an exhaust port or something. So I want to actually put a little, probably a, it's called a fez because it's actually a fez. It's a hat. But it's a minifig part that you can use. It's great for exhausts and stuff like that. The problem is it doesn't come in many colors. Yeah, it doesn't come in the right color. So we may have to do a different kind of cone. Anyway. So I'll probably fix this, even though I really like the way that looks in the back there. And that'll be it. I've already got a nice screenshot for it. I put it up on, I think I put it up on Instagram. And the parts already listed are on Bricklink, and they're on my Google Drive. If you guys want some information about that, let me know. I can provide links in the description below after the stream. So we're going to move on from this. I'm not going to save these for right now. What we're going to start today is this guy. We're going to do the Providence-class Carrier Destroyer, also known as the Invisible Hand from Star Wars Clone Wars. This this only really appeared in I think 1 or 2 episodes. It was kind of a small arc in which there was a creature. I think it was Commander Trench. I'm just going to put Trench Clone Wars. He was a spider. I'm sure it had a different alien name, but he was a spider-looking creature, and he was like a brilliant tactical mind. And this is him. So Harch Admiral was a Harch, so that's the species. Now, the interesting part of designing this ship is going to be that, of course, we're going to want to do a minifig to go with it. I don't think there's going to be any way that we're going to be able to, or that I'm going to be able to do a spider head like this. So, oh, you know, I forgot one thing. I'm going to be right back. Listen to some music. Just take a second. And I'm back. Before we start doing this, I want to do the beer introductions. Today's drink is North Coast Brewing Company, independent since 1988. All right, I'm older than this. It's Old Rasputin Russian Imperial Stout. I've actually had this one before. It's pretty good. It's not as boozy as like a bourbon barrel aged stout, but it's still kind of heavy. It's got a little coffee flavor. It's a little bitter. It's very tasty. I enjoy it a lot. I'm actually going out later with a friend of mine's birthday. What's the Hops channel runner. It's his birthday, and we're going to do some breweries. I also got this from a friend of a friend. This is Pliny the Elder, and you can only get it at the location in California. So these people, we dog sat for them, and they were in Napa in California doing a wine trip, and they ran across this, and they knew that I liked beer, so they brought me back one. And I've never had it, but apparently it's really hard to get. So I'm not going to drink it now. I'm going to save it for the birthday, and I'm going to bring it down so Tucker and I can share it. We'll see if that works out or not, because I think it's very hoppy. It doesn't look terribly dark. So we'll have to see. I may not like it at all, but it may be delicious. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, so that's the beer thing. I'll put the links for these two things in the descriptions afterward too. I had actually made talking notes for this time, so I don't get so sidetracked. So while we're working on the new build, before we start, I'd like to talk about, if I can reach back here and get this. Oh, new build, that's the other thing. I got parts in for this guy. Let me see if I can, I need to switch scenes up a little bit. But anyway, if you're not gonna be able to see it really well, but this is a GR75 transport. And it is it's a Rebel transport, or it was a transport used by the Rebel Alliance. You see this first in Empire Strikes Back, when all the transports are fleeing Hoth, this is the transport they're talking about. It's kind of a clamshell looking ship. It's got the cargo underneath it, so the multicolored cargo. It's got a rebel technician as the pilot, the bridge on the back there, and this is the engine block in the back, which I kind of like. And I had to keep the slopes intact, the look of the slopes, so those are really old light gray, not light blue gray, but light gray finger hinges, which are kind of rare to get anymore. They're kind of expensive if you can't find them, but a lot of collectors or a lot of builders have them as they've been around for a while. So this is arguably the most useless ship in the Star Wars universe. It has 0 weapons. Its hull is disastrously weak. It doesn't have that great of a hyperdrive. It's basically a shuttle for cargo is all it is. It's just a transport for cargo. I like the build. It's a little smaller than the Lucre Hulk that I just did, so you can see the size comparison. The Lucre Hulk is obviously a little bigger, a little larger in the part count, but I still think that works pretty well. One thing I kind of don't like about this, and this happens occasionally, I don't know where that part went, in designing it, is I forget that sometimes I make these so it's 4 across this way, but I want it to be 3 across this way, so I have to kind of jumper it by using some Technic bricks, and that works because now it's 4 across and then 3 across, but then this spins, and it's kind of, you know, since these are mostly going to be for show, not a lot of people are going to be handling it, so I can get away with that. So the other thing is this ship. I didn't show this off really well last time, but the interior of this is really painstakingly ugly. It's got these 3 panels on the top, and again, last week we talked about how they, this is how it should be oriented based on the brick layout, but it's oriented like this because that's how the ship looks. And so inside we have a bunch of 1x1 brick with studs on either side so they can turn sideways and you can kind of clip those together. That works, but then this engine block in the back has to be built a little funky. It's got offset 1x1 bricks, and it's got one plate here and then a jumper plate here, and then the back it connects to. I just had to kind of figure this out with some trial and error. So the instructions I have to redo because they don't exactly fit really well. So I'm gonna have to redo that. So if anyone has downloaded the instructions, don't use them quite yet, or maybe try to figure it out on your own. As always, we like building, so that is going to be exciting for us. So here's some other news, and I don't know if I've got, let me go up one. And again, if anybody's really curious about the builds that I've got, everything's on Google Drive. I try to keep this up as best as possible. So I just got parts in the mail like 5 minutes before we started. And Google Drive takes a while to respond. This is the one thing I don't like about Google Drive is I'm used to like the Windows drives or the attached storage where it's really quick and responsive, but web UIs tend to be a little slower. So where is it? Oh, interesting. I don't have it listed. So it might not be mine then. I thought it was. I've done so many of these that I forget which one's mine and which one's somebody else's design. So, TIE Defender. It's got to be somebody else's design. Anyway, this is the next one that I got the pieces for. This is the TIE Defender. This is a ship that appeared in, the first place it appeared was X-Wing TIE Fighter or X-Wing Alliance. It was an old computer game. And the X-Wing, or the TIE Fighter version it has a hyperdrive, it has some shielding, it's just a better ship overall, it's very fast. And I was very excited to find this build. I don't think I redesigned it too much. This is a straight, I pulled this off of a Flickr site somewhere, but I actually got all the parts in today. These are all the parts that I had. These are the parts that I got in. So shortly after this, I'm going to be building. I'd like to at some point do this live with people. I'd like to get a camera so we can have like kind of the same stream as the software, but have a camera instead, and we can talk about building stuff. To that end, I'm going to make a plug now, and then I'll kind of repeat it toward the end of the stream, is that I'm going to be putting a link in the description for all intents and purposes, it's donations. I don't really monetize the channel at all yet, but what I'd like to do is have like a tip jar up, and if you'd like to contribute, that would help me buy things like tripods for cameras or better headphones. Let's take a look at these headphones. These are like 10-year-old Skull Candy Hesh headphones with a cable from a cell phone. And it works, you can hear me and I can hear the music. So that's all that really matters, but I'd like some nicer headphones. I'd like a tripod to be able to have a camera up here. I'd like to maybe get a light tent so I could take better pictures of the models when they're done. All that kind of stuff. Not really expensive stuff, but if you like the channel, I'll drop a link in there and you can, you know, contribute anything you feel like donating. That's great. If not, I'm going to keep doing this anyway. Because I've got dozens and dozens more designs that I could be doing. So this could go on for a while. Lucky you guys. So that's it about that. I'll remind everybody about that later. I'd like to take a moment too to talk about a couple. I'm just going to go ahead and start doing some stuff so it doesn't look really boring here. I ran into an issue last week where I was really bent out of shape by something. And this comes into play if you're any kind of artist and you're going to run into people who are better than you. You're just going to. So a couple months ago, somebody started messaging me and saying that they were building all my models, and they were trying to build the largest fleet of microfighters in Europe, right? This guy's from Germany, I think, and I thought I was doing pretty well coming in this late in the game in the microfighter world with having a couple built, and I own all the original ones from Lego, but this guy started posting all the builds that he had, and I got a little bent out of shape at that, but then I realized that he's building what I'm designing, so that was very cool. That was very humbling. So he and I have been talking to each other about doing stuff, and he messaged me a lot, and he's like, do you have the instructions for this? When can we post this? So it's very cool, and hopefully I will have more microfighters built in the US, and he can have them all in Europe. We'll find a friend who does Asia or Africa or South America or whatever, and we'll just take over the world with microfighters. That'll be fun. So the second one though was somebody stumbled on and posted this. Somebody had a Flickr site that had some 200 and some designs, microfighter designs that were they were really good. And they had all the really obscure ships that I had. They had done some animals like banthas and dewbacks before Lego had done their official dewback. And seeing it really bummed me out, because if I felt like I hadn't built as many as the other guy, at least I had designed more than anybody. And there's something to be said for wanting to be noticed when you're an artist. You do it because you like doing it, and don't get me wrong, I love doing this. If I could do this all day, every day, this would be my ideal job. Just sit here and just design Lego sets. Order the parts for them, build them, sell them to people, do box art, do all kinds of stuff. That would be my ideal job. If I could work for Lego doing that, or my own business doing that, that would be fantastic. But not doing that, knowing I'm just a hobbyist, I felt like finding that person had done more than I had in that given field, because you feel like you find your niche and then that niche is no longer yours. So it was it really bummed me out for a good couple days. And I had my girlfriend talk me down, You know, she's like, you know what? Because then, like, right after that, the same guy who was building all the ones that from Europe was like, you know what? He may have a lot of them, but his designs, I like your designs better. So, disaster averted. I, you know, backed away from the cliff, and now I feel great. And I'm still going to do this. This guy may have done a glut of them a couple months ago or a couple years ago and just posted them all at once. And I'm not going to lie, some of them are really good designs. But I like being able to do this, and I like doing it now for everybody to kind of watch and get an idea of what we're going to do. So that's that. That's all I'm going to bring up about that. It's kind of a woe is me moment. But let's see, we talked about other designers, we talked about collaborations. Oh, no, we didn't talk about collaborations. So I saw a thing, and I'm going to be stuck on what to do for a spider head. Did we leave this guy up? Yeah, I don't have any idea what I'm going to do with this. Plus, I think he has 4 arms. Admiral Trench. This was, again, from the Clone Wars. If you haven't seen the Clone Wars, do yourself a favor and watch it. The movie's not fantastic, but the show really works. Yeah, and I could do pre and post cybernetic. But yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do all the arms. Lego has made I should put Lego because he's an actual character. So this is the Rio Durant figure from the Solo movies, and you can see Lego is now doing double arms in one socket. I had kind of faked it before with this character where I was just smashing an arm into it digitally, knowing that this character was going to come out. So I think I could do that and get away with it for Trench, but I'm going to have to do it digitally weird later. And I can guarantee you there's not going to be a spider head in here. So I don't even know how I'm going to fake an alien head like that to make it like, well, this is obviously, you know, that might work. Is that a helmet? It might be. Head. So this is usually where I start. Again, we start with the figure because that's kind of the selling point. In terms of collaborations, I don't know if I mentioned Big Kid Bricks or not, but they are, that's a baby head. They're somebody I might be working with in the future. They do design, yeah, it's going to be close enough, and then I'll do the double arms later. Anyway, they are somebody who does custom minifigures, and hopefully we'll be working together to do, they're going to use some of my designs and box them up and sell them at shows and conventions. So, and then I'll get some sort of kickback from whatever, you know, portions of the sale, but it's going to be a lot of work that they do, that he does, getting all the parts, doing all the box art, but the designs and the instructions are going to be mine. So there's, you know, I'm okay with like a whatever percentage. We haven't really got that far yet, but he's working towards that, so that'll be fun. I was reminded of that. There was a new brick vault. Is it brick vault? That had an interview with some people, and again, this is all kind of hearsay, not hearsay, but like friend of a friend of a friend. They do a lot of models of Homeworld. So they've got kind of a design collaborative co-op going where it's designers who have built these ships. Maybe just one, but there's like a group that does like the box art and the licensing, and they actually are fully licensed from the developer of Homeworld. So they have nice boxes and they've got nice artwork for them, and the instruction manuals are really nice. And they sell them at shows, and they've got 5 or 6 different ship designs, and they're really fantastic. So if you can look it up, they're really good if you like Homeworld and you like Lego. But a friend from the user group, somebody who's kind of done some animations for directions for my sets, knows some people there too. So he was like, do you want to be part of this group, or I could put in a good word for you or something? I'm like, I feel bad like doing that and the other thing with Big Kid Bricks. So I'm kind of like, because I'm new to this, you know, I'm new to the whole getting into the group aspect and kind of designing along with other people and having a product at the end of it. So we'll see how that all goes. That's coming and going, information about that every day. I don't need to talk about OBS. You saw my troubles with that. Oh, and I'll mention the donation link at the end again, but I think we're going to go into more building now. So let's see. This is going to be, so the Invisible Hand is another CIS ship. It's another separatist ship, and you can probably look up more specifics on this. I'm sure Space Doc or Eckhart's Ladder has done a bit about this ship. It's a pretty cool ship. What I might do, and I thought about doing this, is just stealing from a previous design and just kind of closing some of the gaps. But I think this is a new enough ship that we can, and maybe I can open this in a new tab. Is it a little bigger? Yeah, so that's a nice view. So the things I'm noticing about this are, first of all, this is, at first, so this is the ship also, I think, that crashes during episode 3, that Anakin and Obi-Wan crash. The ship splits in half and they land the front half of it. Despite having no thrusters, no wings, no flaps, no way to control the ship whatsoever, they land it. All right, prequels, good stuff. There are things about the ship that are going to kind of be obvious to have built so it's recognizable as this type of ship. The first part being this little hook nose at the front. I'm not really sure how to do that yet. CIS ships also have these markings. Now, if I had more of a production facility, I could do stickers, or I could do printed bricks for this. But at this scale, I might just do a couple blue and gray bricks like we did before to kind of give that indication. I think the pilot will probably, despite this being the bridge, because I think that's the bridge, or that's the bridge. This is just an observation tower, conning tower. I don't know what that is. It's probably some sort of docking boom. And then it's got carrier space on the side here, because this is technically a carrier destroyer. So this is going to be where it launches ships. Although, honestly, they're droids. They're those vulture droids. They could hang out on top of the ship. They don't require sleep. They don't require bunks. They don't require food. They can just kind of hang out in the ship, power up when they need to inside, and then just live outside. But anyway, this has got a distinctive sort of dark front end. We're probably going to do a handful of levers to indicate these just scads of antenna along here. And I'm going to have to get a better image to see what the back half looks like, because I don't know what those thrusters are all going to look like. It's not going to really come into play now because I probably am not going to get to it until then. But yeah, this is a good, oh, that's a crappy image, but you can kind of see this front end, this hook. It almost looks like a hawk or a snapping turtle or something. It's got the eye and the nose there. I really wish I could do some separatist sticker. Oh, here's kind of a good image. This is probably, let's see if we can do that one. Put a new tab. So this is going to be a very long ship, not very wide. And that is not going to be, anyway. So it looks like it's got 3 thrusters back there, and they're all kind of protruding out from the engine cowl here. This looks like it's it's slope heavy right through here, and then we got kind of a middle straight section. So I might do another 3x3, but make it all the way across, and then we'll do jumpers for the seats. Let's see how that rolls. So let's just start by putting down a 2x8 plate, because this is going to be a really long ship. And since we want this guy to be kind of sitting right about here, and the other thing is with minifigures in the middle of the ship like this, you can hide a lot of the details later. Like if we don't want to build a certain area, just plop the minifigure in there, and it kind of takes care of the whole thing. Oh, there's an image up here. I'm still not great with scrolling. That's a good overall. That gives us a nice shape. So you can tell this tapers out slightly along here. It tapers out slightly along here, and then back in. But I'm not going to be able to get that granular of a slope. So this is going to be skinny, and then it'll slope right here, and then it'll be a little wider back here. So what I might be able to do, again, I like having that 3 wide's pretty good, but I might be able to do something where I have studs on either side. So just to see, studs on either side, or on one side. I'm going to put these guys here. And then I might do 1 by 1 stud. So while I'm doing this, I'm gonna go ahead and tell Tucker I probably am not gonna wear a onesie to your party or to your brewery crawl. I just don't have one. And I didn't shop on Amazon fast enough to get one, so sorry about that, but I will bring you a beer. So the reason I'm doing this is because I think we can do, I almost kind of want to do a, these guys, like so. I always like doing this initially, and then I realized that it's hard to close this little gap, but that can be this area right here. And then we got to figure out what that hook's going to be. I don't know anything that would look like that. There's a sword from Lord of the Rings that the, it's escaping me right now. The Daywalker, yeah, that thing. The Uruk-hai. Yeah, I was thinking about hitting Target on the way over, but I don't know if Beth will want to get one too, so we'll see. It's gonna be warm too. I wouldn't mind getting like one of the fashionable like jumpers or rompers or whatever they're called, but I don't know, we'll see. I may be able to talk her into that. So you can see right here, this is a good hook nose right here. It, oh, this is on Pinterest. I don't want anything to do with Pinterest. That looks good. That looks great. There is very little chance I'm going to be able to figure out how to fit that into, you know, I could probably do it. So, 1 by 1 clip, or actually, even better, 1 by 2 Technic. So what'll happen is I will make this, and this will be the entirety of 1/2 pin. This is kind of a cheat. And, oh, you know what? Oh, it's dark, because the front end of this is dark. Fantastic. Sometimes I forget about color. I get really excited about a piece. Oh, you're kidding. What color is that then? So here's where I run into issues. I'll be designing and I'll go along and I'll not be able to find out. Will this open up in, yes. Well, this will be Safari. That's stupid. I'm not a Mac person, so anytime Mac stuff gets involved, I get a little bent out of shape. Pearl dark gray. All right, well, that'll still be dark gray. You just have to come down here and find pearl dark gray. Pearl dark gray. All right, fantastic. So jam that guy in here. And that's gonna kind of get rid of these, but I think we can make this work. So what I'm gonna end up doing, and this is gonna be pretty ambitious, is I'm gonna try to cover, yeah, oh yeah. I'm gonna try to cover it with brackets and stuff on the top there. Yeah, you know, I'm not shocked. I have a Dickies from when I was Matt the radar technician, but you know, I have kids. They have onesies. They had onesies. I just never got one. You know what? The ladies have a onesie. Cheryl and Claire have a onesie. So, but I don't think I'll fit into that. So I think I'll be able to cover that. Here's an issue. It's not going to be really heavily supported, but let's just give it a shot. Again, this is a lot of experimentation. I like the idea of using this, but I may get to a point where I'm like, you know what, it's too much hassle. Because it looks good, but unless I can... That's not going to work at all. 2x3 plate. So, okay. Maybe. 2x1 slope. Oh, now see already. Oh, it's competing with the figure. Well, that's easily fixed. I don't know if I've got any drift or not with the music, but okay. So this is one of those things where, ooh, ooh, ooh. And then these guys. Maybe, maybe. You know, it's not a terrible look, but despite the fact that I really like, this needs to be the center. I can rotate around it better. Despite that being the center, or the right look, I don't know. I think it's gonna have to be, go away Safari, nobody likes you. I think it's gonna have to be more attached. That's not a good image. I need something bigger. Yeah, see, somebody's built a UCS model out of this. It's not official, but it's still really good. Lego actually did build an actual set of this, so that's pretty cool. It's one that I didn't get, but you know, this is pretty good. Yeah, it just needs to be more. There is a part, wedge. There's a part that probably would work. It's the same piece that I used for the Radis. This one. But again, that would mean that this would have to be 4 wide and then somehow taper back on a very small scale. So, and then it would have to have that little hook at the bottom of its nose that I don't have any idea how to do. Although, I just love this album so much, or this artist. So a lot of times what I'll do too is I'll do a utensil lookup, because sometimes you can be surprised by what tools are meant for minifigures. You know, and this could have been used as well. Instead of the sword, I could have used a hatchet. That would have given me another layer. It's a little wide in the front, so it's not exact, but it might have worked. Sometimes utensils give you kind of good greebling or good small-ish indications of what a giant capital ship part should look like. Like this might be pretty good for that bit. This gets used a lot. I can rotate it, right? Like if that sat underneath it, but again, I would have to figure out how to get it under there. There's no underneath clips. There's only top clips that I'm aware of. Somebody prove me wrong, or tell me about it. Feel free to, if you're watching this later, just leave a comment about anything that you're watching, and I'll try to respond as quickly as possible. It's not like I have a ton of subscribers. I should be able to respond pretty quickly. I may not have this done by the time you see it. So, and again, it's Lego. It's just the design. It can be changed. Even after I buy the parts for it, you can always change it. I mean, the Lucre Hulk is a perfect example of that. I bought all the parts. I had it laid out and designed. and I had to change it because it was chunky. This actually is pretty good. So, okay, here's the problem. This has to be, there has to be bits underneath it to make the hull. All right, so this is all going away, minus that. Oh, not his legs. He needs his legs. There's a joke in there about Forrest Gump and his legs. You got new legs, Lieutenant Dan. You got new legs. So, this will probably be the way I go with this. I really want to figure out how to do a hook in the front. Let's try the Technic brick thing again. Oh, you know what? I can do this as a Technic brick instead of having this. This will cut down on parts because you can usually tensile. Just as an example, if we just use the hatchet, you should be able to put that in there, like so. And then that, and then put this on top of it, and it's going to say no. What's the underside of that look like? Maybe one up? Come on, work with me. There's a new feature, there's a couple new features in Studio. One, I'm not really sure what it means. So connect and connect. Yeah, all right, so that's what that does. A lot of times in the past, especially when I was working with the Capitol, it was entirely too frustrating to work with, and I've totally lost my connection over here. All right, let's see why. I'm hoping my feed didn't get shut down. An error occurred. Please try again later. Well, I'm just going to restart that browser. And I hope I'm still streaming. Yeah, still going. All right. So something happened. I totally lost my train of thought. Yeah, I think I lost the internet connection. That's going to suck. No, it says I'm connected. Give me a second. So, if you're still seeing this and it's still recording, I am I'm running on Wi-Fi right now, which is probably not the best thing for streaming. I think I can get to. Let's just close out some of these tabs. See if I can get to a new site, random site, let's say Fark. Yeah, all right. So it's just this computer over here. Anyway, so I don't, if you're chatting right now, I don't know what you're saying, but give me a second, I'll reboot this machine so I can see. So, where was I? We're talking about, not that. Oh, new parts. When I was building the Capitol, there were so many parts that, first of all, it was causing the machine I was working on to completely shut down. It was completely bogged down with memory usage. So there was, you know, tens of thousands of pieces to keep track of. And it got to a point where if I added 2 or 3 more pieces, the application would completely stop working. Like, it was bad enough it was very slow, but it was just completely unresponsive. So I contacted the software group and they were like, turn off these 2 things, collision and snap. And that just means that every time you have a piece, it snaps to where it should be clicking in real life. Collision means this. So if I turn collision off, you won't see that it can't fit on this part right here, right? Which is a shame because I think that looks pretty good. I would have to figure out how to enclose that underneath here, but we can work on that a little bit. So turning those off really helped the performance because the model wasn't worried about all the other pieces, whether they could clip in together, whether there was a collision. I made sure to try really hard for there not to be a collision because this was going to be built in real life. and it was going to be a very large model. So I had to make sure that it worked, but at a certain point my machine just couldn't handle it. So that's what this connect is now. Oh, so in the process, trying to move a piece to exactly where you need it, especially if you have it underneath or flipped over or something like that, it just really, it bounces around and you won't really be able to set it where you need to. So this new feature, Connect, says, okay, here's where all the connection points are in this piece, right? So that's the underside of that first part. And on this piece, I want it to connect to the one stud right here. So it does it automatically. I think that's great. That works really well. The other, oh, and I don't have this downloaded. The other piece that's new is, and I'm going to show you this, ATTE Captain Rex's Cap Train. Microfighter. I, for whatever reason, cannot type. So I have done this guy. This was a model from a designer called Darth Designer, and it's a ATTE from Clone Wars. So I did the Captain Rex's version of it from Rebels, which was also made into an official set. But in the image, originally, you couldn't do anything. These were supposed to be hanging over these booms, right? They were supposed to be these kind of winches that would pick up cargo and whatnot. So all I had to do was like put those in part of it and say, okay, these attach in the middle and then kind of hang over the side, but there's no way I can do that. But as of like 3 days ago, you can totally move strings and hoses in the software. And I'm just gonna show you really quick. And see this symbol right here? That means that part can be moved. And this is really cool, and I'm sorry for geeking out a little bit about this, but if you click on it and do that symbol, now I can bend the string. And it can only bend certain ways, and you have to be really careful about it. Like if I wanted to bend this up a little bit, I have to be like kind of right in front of it, because otherwise it will twist really funny. Anyway, that's really cool. I'm very happy about that. I'm actually working, and I'll show you this guy a little later, maybe not today, because we're really struggling with this front piece. I have two designs. I have several designs that I'm working on that are not Star Wars Microfighter related. I'm doing a, there's these big towers in Austin called Moonlight Towers, and they were created at one point in the 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s, because of the Hatchet Girl or the Hatchet Servant Girl axe murder, something like that. The town realized at this point Austin was not really even a town, and it wasn't even called Austin. It was called something else, I believe. And it was so dark that the servant girls were being murdered along the way. Why am I not connecting? I'm really worried that I'm not streaming anymore. Yeah, that's just fine. Maybe it's just this computer. So anyway, they built these Moonlight Towers to provide more light for the city. And I think they built like several dozen, if not 100 or more. Only like 17 or 18 remain active in Austin right now. And they are historical landmarks. So I want to build one of those out of Lego, but the problem is it's mostly made out of pipes. And that's really hard to do in Lego, is like a lot of pipe girdering, stuff like that. Lego does have parts that are like you can make into sky cranes, but the parts that I need are all white or light gray, and you can't do that with some of the pieces in there. I'm gonna try to pull up, for some reason this computer's not allowing me to sign on to the web for some reason, and I can't monitor chat, so I'm going to see if I can do that from my phone, just to see if I can. Yeah, look at that. Okay, good. I still see you too. That's fantastic. As seen in Dazed and Confused. Yes, they were in Dazed and Confused. There's one, and I think the Dazed and Confused one is the one that has the Christmas tree around it. And that happens at Zilker Park. Every year they do a Christmas tree around one of the moon towers. So I want to do that. I'm doing the Capitol. I'm doing a power station. Now the power station is the one that needs the strings bent, which is the whole reason I showed you that. So I'm very excited about that. I'm hoping they get hoses and tubes and other things that could be bent, available to be bent in the software that would open up a whole world. I'm really procrastinating on doing this because I really don't like the fact that I really want this to work, but it's not. So here's a way to make it work, but it's not going to be pretty. So also, if you like the music, I know it's chiptune music and not everybody's into chiptune, but I've actually chatted with the artist and he's super nice. That's not bad. Again, Lukash, L-U-K-H-A-S-H, just some solid chiptune techno music. It's really pleasant to listen to. I think after today, though, I might do a just a copyright-free stream in the background and just kind of deal with it. Because I think this is okay to do. I emailed him, and they said as long as you're not monetizing, it should be safe to play. And even if you were, then the publisher gets a cut of whatever they do, because they do license through YouTube. So I think it's okay. If you can't see this later, then we'll know why. These cone-shaped front ends, these like wedge, weird-shaped front ends always bother me so much. And that's not going to be great, but what we can do now, this might help, is put those brick stud, these guys back in and kind of do the slope end and the front again. Copy, paste. And I might need to do, and keep in mind, everything that you do adds to the part count. So oh, you know what? I could do 1x3 instead. Again, you want to keep these little ships, these little microfighters, down to like 85 to 100 pieces. Any more than that, and it becomes more of just like, oh well, that's actually a ship. And it's a fine line. I mean, microfighters, a super deformed or a chibi, it's a cute little version of whatever you're doing. It's not meant to be completely accurate. It's just supposed to be like, oh, look at that little thing. So the fewer the parts you can do, the better. Now, I've got a couple designs that are upwards of, oh, that's so close. That are upwards of a couple hundred pieces. And they're too big. I've talked about them before. There's a Mandalorian fighter that I found online that somebody did. So it wasn't my design, so I can blame that on it not being my design. And oh, this is not going to be... I'm also having a hard time seeing what the distance is. Oh, man. Oh, you know what that means? I wonder if I could pull that off somehow. If I could do a 1x2 plates. Yeah, that's not going to be too bad. So again, I'll put a link. Oh, no, that covers up the hook too much. But it doesn't look terrible. I'll put the link up again for PayPal donate later. Yeah, that's not too bad. Oh, and you know what? 1x1 tile. Oh, no wait, T-slope. 1x1 slope. Nope, not low. Again, I'm just starting out. Don't feel pressured to donate or anything like that. I'm just thinking that I would like to do this for quite a while. And if I could get away with having some more content to be able to show some builds, that would be nice. That's disgusting. That's really awful. I might work on that, but let's keep it for now because we need a starting point. We need to kind of move forward. So I'm also going to do something that I should have done earlier, is group all this guys together. And group. This is just so, again, and you've seen this before, I can move this guy around a little bit. It also means that I'm going to probably jack this up a couple plates so he can sit a little higher, because he's going to have a little thing right here. So let's look back at our image, and I don't like that one too much right now. So he's going to be sitting kind of amidships right here. This is all going to be dark. So this color, this, oh, you know what? This can only be one color too, and I think it's pearl dark gray. Yeah. Which means, oh, this is going to be bad. I don't think these can be colored that, nope. But they can be dark gray. I have a whole ship, and I don't think, dark bluish gray, there we go. It's the Radis, which is the ship from The Last Jedi, the one that they ram into the, Alright, what color part do I need for that? It's the one they ram into the Supremacy, they hyperspace ram it. That needed that part too. Known colors, dark bluish gray. No, known. Ah, light gray and light bluish gray. Fudge. Well, maybe I can get a different hatchet. Axe, maybe? This might be a problem. So what we can do too is I need to have it be a specific color, so I can say hide unavailable part colors and then pick dark bluish gray. Problem with doing this is it tends to bog down the system a little bit when you tell it only look them up by that. And again, see, I immediately lose, I don't know if I'm spelling hatchet right, I'm not. All right, I immediately lose a lot of parts. So we're gonna make an exception and we're gonna use this little dude. And I think it'll work just as well, if not better. How far out does it need to go? Oh, it's not out too far. It's too short. What is that even clipped into? So let's hide these real quick so I can see what, oh, it is too short. Yeah, because that sits in about there. And this one isn't any longer. So I may be disappointed on the utensils aspect of it. Oops. I may need to do some sort of cheese slope like this, and just have it kind of pointing upside down like that. I'm really focused on this stupid thing out here, but I think it's part of the iconic look of this ship. Everything else is, I mean, we can just put slopes and antenna and a cowling on the back. It's just a matter of making it, I don't know what that was. Oh, accidentally looked at somebody's email. That's fantastic. But this first part is really iconic. I may have to go back and work on that a little bit. So let's see if we can maybe get, I'll just leave the front end like this for now. And, oh, that's frustrating. So let's work on the back end a little bit. I'm going to double up on this, even though this may be a little long, but I can put that guy about here, and that's not what I want. Close that all the way out. Why are you even up here? No, go away. That, thank you. Yeah, he'll sit probably right about here. I don't want to have to try to recreate this little area, so let's get him a little farther back. And then since we've already got our guys along here, what we can do, I almost want to move him and just put a, let's say 2x4 plate. Or no, yeah, that's right. Oh, and we're limiting again, so let's get rid of that. Yeah. Hey, look, notification, Tucker, your birthday's coming up. Light bluish gray, thank you. Let's do light bluish gray. Because I want to do, let's just do one more. Man, sometimes this frustrates me. Let's do a 2x2 tile stud. Is it that one? We're gonna do our chair. Everybody say it with me, the chair. And reddish brown. Although, you know what? Let's make it blue because it's CIS. Do they do a blue? Yeah. Yep. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 1x1 with brick, stud, STUD, and we're gonna try to bracket him in parts, or in plates. So we're gonna do 2 of those, and then what I can do from here is instead of having a 1x3, I can do a 1x8. And this could be, instead of that, I can do another one of these. Aren't you glad I was able to figure that out? So now I can do 1x8 plate. And this will add towards the tapering of it because I can do a tile up at the front, but then, oh, I did get rid of that. But then leave it kind of naked, naked studs back here so it looks like it's tapering back a little bit. So let's see how that looks. 1x4 tile. Oh, you know what too? Yeah, so we can do this where we can do, oh, you know, there's striped ones already. Yeah, I probably won't be able to do that. Although that would be super cool. They do have, this should be yellow, black and yellow. That's just too big, but that's a good idea. Right there. Maybe. I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. And I think this has to be a fully yellowed brick. Yellow. Which, it's not going to look great, but I think if I cover a little more of the area, like, I knew it. 2x1 inverted. I think these guys can be that color. Yeah. Alright. Now we're rocking and rolling. It doesn't look really great, but, you know. And then what we can do is, so we'll put this guy back in here so we can get a good measurement. And then we can do kind of basic 1x2 slope. That's not right. So we'll do 2x1 slope. And then I can color these blue. Copy, paste. And then those guys gray. And then that gives us the indication of these. Oh, you know what? We don't get stripy until the back. Well, all right. So let's not worry about that. That's just black by the looks of it. So let's do dark gray for these. And then these will do black. Let's see how that works. All right, good enough for now. Let's see. What's next? So this part, nope. This part looks like it flares out a little bit, so it's gonna be wider than that. We can probably get away with doing, and I need to extend this back anyway, so let's do, I don't know how far back. Let's just do 2x4. We don't want to get it too big. We can always extend it if we need to. Plates. 2x4 plates. And because we've got these plates back here already pushed back, we can put more of these these like 1x2 slopes back here to kind of flare it out a little bit. Because it's the problem when you get to this size, there's really no good plate, or there's no part that can really fit. When they try climbing a moon tower, oh, in Dazed and Confused, I will admit I have not seen Dazed and Confused all the way through. I've seen bits and pieces, and yes, I realize I live in Austin and I haven't seen Dazed and Confused, so I guess let the crucifixion begin. When I was so when it came out, I forget when it came out, like mid 90s, late 90s? No, had to be later than that. Early 2000s? I forget when it came out. Somebody look that up. I think I was in college by that point, so like the idea of high school into college movies, especially in areas of the country where I didn't live, just went completely past me. Because I mean, being in college, the last thing I was going to do is like see a lot of movies. I didn't work at a Blockbuster. I didn't work at a movie theater, so a lot of those are kind of, there's an era where I was like, oh yeah, that came out about the time that I was around, but 1x2 jumper, but I never saw it. All right, here we are with the jumper quandary again. I think these are newer, so I want to kind of keep using these because I think the newer pieces, and if he's got an alien head, he's not going to be able to, that's not going to be a problem anyway. So let's do 1x2 tile. And then we can do a lever. And these are going to be, I'm just going to put these like this because I think they come in other colors, but I'm just not going to worry about it. So yeah, these guys, and I might do another one of those up front here, but it kind of looks weird if they've got a thing in the way here. Oh, this is another trick. 2x1 slope is these guys. Where are they? These guys are the best. So we can do that. Because then I can fill it with 1x1 or 2 plate. So by this time next week, I hope to have a couple things done. I want to have this design finished. I can't call it cheese, it's just a slope. But I also want that tie defender built, which will take all of 20 minutes. What I might try to do is do a little speed build and videotape that, and then post it on the channel. Again, it's not my design. It's if it's not Darth Designer or CJ Blue Cause or Arendelle 2016, it's one of those three that I went through a glut of finding new designs and then just trying to figure out how they're built. I think that was one of them. So I almost want to call it mine because I only have one picture to work from, and it's very hard to figure out the internal structure or the back of something. So it's at that point, it's almost my design. It's not though, and I'm not going to take credit because there's still enough of the outer facing and front facing stuff that I can't credit myself for it. But I'd like to have that built, so what I might be able to do got two inverted. These guys would be great right here. Is try to just record me doing that and then put that up in the middle of the week or something. And it's a little far out. Again, I think that's just too much. I think what I'd rather do is, so I want to do 1 by 1 tile. This is going to look a little more, it's going to be a little junkier, but I think I'd rather do this just to kind of give the indication, because it's not that section. No, that's not what I wanted. Good gravy. This mouse working on a Mac is just bothering me. So I think that's a little better. And then I can do, let me just do a 1 by 4 tile. Just for now, kind of hold it in place. These guys. Nope, I want them opposite. There we go. And then maybe 2 of these. Nope. So, other than putting up a donate link for parts for the channel, I would really like to also, or gear for the channel, to be able to do better videos and better quality. I'd like to also buy more brick. There is I am working with a friend of mine is trying to do a database of, or a custom XML sheet for Bricklink, so I know exactly what parts I need and how many, because I've got 180 ships to buy parts for. And the problem I run into is I'll buy a single, you know, these 2 bricks, but I'll be like, I know that out of 180 something models, I probably need these 2 bricks, but I don't know how many I need without looking at all these wanted lists in Bricklink. So he's trying to organize an XML sheet that I can put back into Bricklink and say, okay, I want to order parts for this 1 ship. After I've assembled parts from all the brick that I have, what do I have left over? Buy those. But also, since I'm buying those, I need these parts. Let's see if another ship needs those parts, and I'll just buy a ton of whatever those are. So that ideally, by the time I get to the last ship, I'm only buying for that ship. I'm not buying more than I need, but I'm buying for the future too. I'm buying stuff that I need for the future. Cheers, by the way. Again, this is the Old Rasputin Russian Imperial Stout. This is kind of a common one. Again, I like the Imperial Stouts. I was a big fan of Guinness when I first started drinking, way back in, you know, the late 1800s or however old I am. So I like bitter beers. They're pretty good, but I don't like IPA beers. There's something about IPA bitterness, hoppy bitterness, that I'm not a big fan of. Also, I'm getting older and it kind of hurts my stomach after a while. So we're gonna get to this back end here, which is going to be a lot of these. I'm just gonna kind of do this for now because I don't know what else to do with it. I almost might want to do like 2 of these. I saw somebody do, the guy who was building all the designs that I was doing, but also he had like a large group of models already. He had one of these that was broken, and so he still used it, and he put it on the Y-wing that I had designed, so it looked like a little turret. It was really groovy. I accused him of not being a purist and ruining a part. He's like, no, it was already broken. I'm like, all right, fair enough. So these are gonna flare out in the back, and I'm probably gonna just use more of these. Although, you know what will help is that if I do brackets, they push out a little farther. So it's automatically pushed out a little bit to make it flare a little better. That way I can kind of support that in there, or use that to kind of jump out and do the engines. that does create, if you notice right off the bat, that does create a little stud disparagement, discrepancy, stud discrepancy. Right here, we're not going to be able to link that and that, which is fine. You know, we'll get it. We'll figure it out. But this shape right here, I don't think I'm going to be able to do. Although I just had a crazy idea. Yeah, let's try that. Oh, this is going to be fun. Let's see if this works. So I can sneak in here and grab one of these. Yeah. Oh, this is going to be fun. So again, these are super deformed, chibi style ships. So if they're kind of bulky and funny looking, as long as they have the idea of what they're supposed to be. Oh man. 1x2 slope. 2x1 slope. As long as it passes, then you're good. You know, it's like if somebody looks at it and goes, "Hey, that's that thing," you're like, "I win. I did well." Oh, this is going to be so great. That has to be the other side, though. And there's going to be a little gap here. But, oh my goodness. Cheese slope. I don't know if I mentioned this before. These 1x1 slopes are called cheese slopes because if you color them medium orange or whatever color they were, they first appeared in like, not first appeared, but they're used a lot in indications of a picnic. So you have this and a bottle of wine or a little breadstick or a turkey or something like that. And they look like cheese slopes. They look like wedges of cheese. Oh, you know what? That's kind of pretty. And then I could make it go a little higher. And we could do that. Copy. And turn those blue. Look at that. Look at that sweet nonsense. All right, so here's the cool trick. That. Copy. Oh, no, wait. I'm on a Mac. Can't forget on. Why is this not? There, thank you. So there's another function that Bricklink just added to Stud.io or Studio. They didn't have, and this drove me crazy, they didn't have a mirror function. These updates came out like literally Friday. They didn't have a mirror function, so what you can do now is right click and go copy and mirror. Boom. So now you have an exact mirror of it. You're not going to be able to tell because this is symmetrical already, but when I was doing the Capitol, I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll just build one wing and then I can just mirror it on the other side. No problem, right? Well, the Capitol is weird enough, the Texas Capitol is weird enough to where the front half and the back half of the wings are different enough that you can't do that. But I thought if I could just do like a wall, like one wall and copy and mirror it, then I can do that on both sides. Or I can do the front half of it here and then mirror it, and it'll save me time building from the ground up, doing two exact things until I get to a certain level. Well, the Studio didn't have that until Thursday or Friday. And what I had to do was take the entire model, or what I had, and put it into L-Draw, which is another CAD program specifically for Lego, and it has a mirror function. So I flipped it, so I, created another copy, flipped that copy, saved it, imported it back. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but I mean it worked, and it's. You know what? Let me show you what the design looks like, because I think it's on Drive, I think, since we're kind of getting to the end of this and I'm not really close to getting this flared out as much as I wanted to. I will show you real quick what the Capitol looks like. Now this is 62,000 pieces, and again I've assembled about a third of that, and we're waiting for, and again, this is just totally locked up. We're waiting to hear back from Lego about a purchase that we've made. through our lug. Can I not see? So we should have them by maybe June, something like that. I don't think this is. So this is part that I was trying to mirror. Like I'd grab that part and try to mirror it. Do I not have a good large version? This is kind of a good version. It kind of shows. Yeah, so that's 62,000 pieces worth of Lego. It's probably going to be more than that because when I built this, again, the software doesn't take into account gravity. So I don't know that a lot of this will not collapse in on itself. It's mostly hollow. There's some support struts underneath the dome here. The dome sits on a giant lattice work of structure going up, and then it's its own plate, and then the dome comes up from there, which has a core going up through it. But these wings are just walls. There's nothing in there. So I tried to do some Technic brick structure work above or below the ceilings or below the roof, so the roofs would have something to sit on. So we'll see. It's going to be a process. It was supposed to be done by Brick Fiesta, Tech Slugs convention coming up in July 4th weekend, July-ish weekend. Check it out, brickfiesta.com. That's our Lego user group convention. So this was supposed to premiere there, and then it is going to live at the Texas Capitol Visitor Center for a few years. They're building a whole encasement for it and everything. So if we ever get it done, it'll be great, but it's kind of in a holding pattern until we get more parts. But that would have been helpful having the mirror function for that, because it's a large set. Rebuilding an entire section that is similar, but it's just on the other side, so it is mirrored. It would have been helpful to have that. It's just sad that I wasn't able to do anything with it till then. Let's see, so that's, I think what we want to do now is get into the thruster area. So we've got up to about here. I don't want to get too much larger. I think I'm just going to throw a big old brick in here. Because what are we at? 66? Not bad. And this is, if we break that out, we'll have more. And we still have to figure out this front. That may change. So if we do 2 more of these, copy, paste. And I think what I might do now is this is starting to go into the engine block, so I could almost, and what do we got, 3? So I think this is going to be another one of those things where I'd like to make it how it looks and then, whoops, figure out how to attach it later. And those engines don't look that complicated. If I could find one that has a engine block image in it, like something from the back. Sometimes these don't. Oh yeah, look at that. There's the Obi-Wan and Anakin trying to crash land half a ship. There's so much wrong with the prequels, and don't even get me started. I know some people love the prequels. Haha, look at that. Somebody built this out of Lego, and I'm gonna steal this image. Not really, but I am gonna steal how it's laid out. So it looks like the engines are a little higher on one side than the other, so that's fine. We can get away with doing some brackets and whatever, but it looks like they're all the same size. It's just gonna be round brick. It's gonna be one of these numbers. Grab that, would you? So we're gonna have 3 of these, and then it's gonna be staggered, so we'll put one right in the middle, but then we'll raise it. Nope. There we go. Something like that. And then I don't exactly know what the thruster, what it looks like when the thrusters go on. Most of the time you see them as sort of, oh, there we go, orange. Easy enough. Brown tile, and I can already tell that my cap lock is on. One of these days I'll get into a heated debate about the prequels being just awful. So I will say that they are better than I can imagine trying to do myself. But at the same time, somebody had to have stepped in and said, no, these are just bad. The writing is bad. I just can't imagine no one said anything, you know. So here's the thing, that Lego ship looked like it was mostly light gray. This looks mostly light gray. What I might do just to give it a little differentiation, pull these guys out, one by one round plate, and have a little dark gray in there. There's a term, and I brought this up a couple times in the past, called greebling, where it's basically you're just adding detail where there may not be function, and you're doing it to have an aesthetic, so it's pleasing to the eye. Like if you just had it's a 180 swing from the days of science fiction in the past, where everything was like a sleek chrome rocket ship kind of thing, with no details on it really. It had fins and it was, you know, curved, and every piece bled into another piece. There is more now a sense of adding detail, even to like Star Trek ships, which are classically a bit more streamlined, to show like, well, that could be it could be function. This could be a bit of a power coupling, or some sort of resistor, or some sort of cabling that goes on the outside, or provides heat or air or something like that, or power transfer. So having a little bit more detail is right now kind of the norm, but I feel it's swinging back. Now I feel like it's getting into a more blocky phase in ship design for science fiction, so we'll see how that goes. So these will probably live right about here. I'm gonna move these up because they'll probably be about right there. That may be a little big, maybe right there. If I can get a bracket in there to hold that. This is obviously gonna be jumpered. And we'll probably get like a 2x3 plate to hold that one, and then a 1x1 bracket to hold that one. And then so I also have to keep in mind two things, because I'm just going to forget when I do this, but this is a carrier destroyer, so these will have to be opened somehow. I'll have to leave spaces in here, or leave indications like a 1x2 or 4 trans blue tile to indicate that there's like a force field holding a docking bay closed. I've done that before in some other carriers to indicate like force field depot kind of thing. So I may do that again here. This side right here will be the carrier side. And then I have to remember to do 1x's all the way back for the conning towers, and whatever this is probably some sort of docking boom on the bottom. So we'll see how that goes. But we've gone an hour and a half. I thank you for watching. Thanks Tucker for participating in the chat, and I'm probably going to see you in about an hour or so. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below, and I'll make sure to post links about the beers. Anybody who we got shout outs for, I'll put the donate link in there. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week.